Don't let this common misconception trap you. Greetings. What's up? It's Deborah. Happy Wednesday to you. The reason that I want to share this is because I think this is a very pervasive mindset in Western cultures. I will say American culture. I'm not going to say every single culture, but there's something that can be learned because no matter what your culture is, at some point in space or time, you've been affected by this. Well, what am I talking about? I'm talking about group pressure, cultural pressure, societal pressure that comes in the form of expectations. So this came up recently when I was watching a show. It was one of these reality TV shows, um, a makeover show. And I always enjoy the process of seeing people transform. We all do in a lot of ways. Seeing them go from being in a not great situation to being in a better situation. That's why we watch movies and underdog stories and we love it, right? However, I had a few problems when I was watching it, and this is just me with my, you know, mentor hat on, is that the reasons behind the transformation, the true reason behind the transformation, was getting confused with a lot of other things that I really hope are not ultimately the reasons behind the transformation. So, what do I mean by this? So, in this show, there were different points in time where they'll tell the person, oh, um, do this thing that's really healthy. We love you. We want you to be. You are one of us. We are one. We love you. But make sure that you understand why you're doing this is because you don't want your wife to leave you because you're not trying, or you don't want your friends to not respect you because you don't look a certain way or because your home is in a certain way. And I was like, mm, I do not like that at all. Because oneness is so powerful. Like, I want to see it used for good, and I just don't see that happening very often. So what is oneness? Let's talk about this for just a second. um, Oneness is our true reality. That is the reality, even though it may seem like it's not. It may seem like we're all separate and different, and and you know, quote unquote, incompatible with one another. But in truth, we are all connected. It's almost like the earth is one living, breathing organism, and whether it's a plant, an animal, or a human being, it's we're all cells of that one living organism, right? So what this feels like when you feel it is when we experience this at times when we fall in love, when we fall really deeply in love, where it's like our whole body is buzzing, right? And when we're with the person, we can finish each other's sentences and we can share stories, and that connectedness is there. We feel it when we see a little baby like laughing and playing, or even more so when we see an animal who's typically a lot rougher being incredibly gentle around a baby, allowing the baby to do things to it that normally it would never allow. We see it when, or we experience it when we see someone has passed away or there's been some sort of tragedy, and people to come together for a candle light, or nowadays it's a cell phone light. You know, a vigil to remember that person and to take away something from the tragedy that happened. We experience it when we're on the top of a mountain peak, and our arms are outstretched and we're enjoying and taking in this amazing sunrise, and the air is crisp and we just feel like all is right, all is beautiful, and there is not a care in the world. When we are experiencing those moments, we are experiencing oneness. We are finding and feeling that connection that we have to our fellow life living organisms on the planet and to ourselves. So when we experience this, it's amazing. So it's so cool when we get to be in a group of people, we talk to somebody, we think they're so different from us, and then we share a struggle we have, and they're like, you too? Me too. I've had the same struggle, and mine look like this. And that amazing connectedness that we feel, we recognize, oh my goodness, we're probably more alike than we ever realize, right? But even if it's not a likeness, it's just connectedness. That's really what oneness is about. So now let's bring that back over into the concept of transformation. I use oneness all the time in my work in helping people to make deep and irreversible transformations. It's understanding that we are one, that their pain is my pain, and that we all struggle with these different challenges. But the difference is that I want them to connect that to their enoughness, not to their not enoughness unless they do something that someone else expects them to do. It may be the same exact transformation. They may lose the weight. They may, clean up their house. They may, get a brand new wardrobe. They may do some grand gesture that they've always wanted to do and they didn't have the courage. We know the story, right? But the why behind it, beneath it, is so critical, is for them to understand they are enough as they are. There's nothing else that they need to do, fix, have, or be. They already are enough. And from that place of enoughness, their transformation is different. It might not be as dramatic on the outside, but trust me, it is incredibly powerful and irreversible on the inside. And often, what I see in marketing messages, in books on personal development, is the appeal to these surface transformations, to these surface reasons of, oh, well, if my husband, wants this, so I don't lose my husband, so my friends won't be embarrassed to say they're my friends, so my mom will be proud of me, and all of these other things, they're all okay, but I hope that's not why you're doing it. I really do hope that's not why you're doing it. And while oftentimes people can say, oh, no, 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 I'm doing this because it's for me, it's not for them, it's for me. But it sort of is for them. And I think what I really want to encourage people to do is just to be honest, to look inside and say, when I'm doing something, is it truly something I'm doing from a place of enoughness or from a place of not enoughness? Right? Like, that is so important. Um, why is that so important? To be honest, it's just something I know. I don't know that there's a scientific, study that I haven't done any scientific studies to prove that, but it's just something I've seen. When we make a decision out of our enoughness, the same decision made out of our not enoughness has a very different feel to it and has a very different um, amount of, not just amount, but quality of impact on the people around us. Then when we make a decision from our enoughness, it has a different impact on people around us. So this has been something that is very dear to my heart. I grew up and I was a minister for many years. And so I'm very familiar with all the different angles of transformation from a place of not enoughness. And yet there were bits and pieces in there where enoughness was talked about. So it got me on this journey now of exploring, like, what if we were always okay with who we already are? What if our transformation or our next leg on our journey was just that? It was just the next leg on an incredible journey. And it wasn't like coming from the darkness to the light, but it was just like another amazing trip. Like, what if our next steps are increasing, are big, making ourselves bigger, thinking bigger, acting bigger, and connecting at a bigger level, or achieving at a bigger level, or whatever at a bigger level, came from a place where we already were enough? What would the world be like? And I thought about it and I envisioned how it would be to go to the bank, to go to the restaurant, to travel, to interact with people on the street. And how schools would be set up. And I was just in tears at how incredible this world would be if everyone made decisions from a place of enoughness instead of from a place of not enoughness. So we can't rewrite our childhood, and we can't create perfect childhoods for our children. We just can't. But what we can do, starting with ourselves, is start to commit to ourselves to make more decisions from a place of enoughness. And if we don't feel enough, that's not the time to make a decision. That's not the time to transform. That's not the time to take action. Because that's really what oneness is about. And I know it's in there. I know that's the intention at some level. But on another level, we also can, all of us get hooked into this idea that we want to pressure or influence people to make changes based on what others will think of them. Whereas in truth, that doesn't matter at all. What matters is what you think of you. And what matters is what you bring that's unique, that no one else on the planet can bring, your unique zone of genius. So I hope this inspires and encourages you today to go out into your day with clarity that you are already enough, and to choose to pick that as your space where you live most of your time, so that you can be a warmer, brighter, and much more powerful influencer on those around you. And spread this feeling of oneness, spread this feeling of enoughness, so that other people can feel it and pick up on it and respond to it as well. Because that's how you can make the world a better place. All right, much love.